This is Mr. Dennis Egan with MichiganAssemblies.com, MAC. Yes, and I greet all of you students, whether you are in a classroom or perhaps in a gymnasium or even an auditorium. I am so thankful, and I want to tell you that Michigan Assemblies means whenever students in the state of Michigan are coming together for learning, or when they are assembled together, this is the opportunity to learn. And of course, that's what we are doing, is bringing you information so that as you are assembled together, that you can leave from this experience feeling like you are inspired, because that's our goal, is to inspire you to be better citizens. So, today is the first lesson that we have ever recorded, and it is through a graduate school class I'm taking called EDU 708 through Central Michigan University's Global Campus, and I'm very excited to be a part of that program there. We have wonderful professors helping us students, and nevertheless, this is a business that, together with my wife, we are working on. And we hope in the years ahead that many of our students who benefit from these videos will make the world a better place. Okay, so this first lesson for this first course, which is on courage, the character trait of courage, this first lesson is teaching you about a person who lived in history named Helen Keller. And she was quite an incredible person. So, I want to ask you as we start, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? In other words, what kind of difference are you hoping to make in our world? Another way you can think about this is, have you ever experienced something through your own life to where you have been the first person to accomplish something noble or good? In other words, does the world know you for something that you've contributed to it in a good and noble and honorable way that's made the world a better place, and people know about you? I don't know. I don't even know if that's true about me. I hope maybe one day. But the point is you're going to learn about Helen Keller and how she has accomplished just that. When she lived in such a way that when she left this world, she left an honorable legacy behind that people can remember her for. And so I want to start off by having you look at this question, and you can listen to me read it, and then you'll have an opportunity to think about it. And you'll see me coming back a little here and there throughout this short presentation. Thank you. How does having courage to do good things end up helping other people? I am going to give you about 30 seconds to think about this question. Okay, good. I want you to think about that question, but kind of store it in your mind till later. At this point, I want to ask you another very important question, and it is this. Who is the first person that comes into your mind when you think of lighting up a room with encouragement? This is a very important question because we're talking about encouragement. For example, some people are very negative. They come into a room, it doesn't feel like there's light, it feels like it's dark. But what about people who come into a room and they encourage you? Doesn't that make you feel good? So I want you to be thankful for whoever came to your mind. Be thankful for them, and hopefully you can try to be more like them, to be an encouragement to other people. Because you know what, students, it takes courage to be able to bring encouragement to other people, to light up a room with positive thoughts and encouragement. Doesn't mean life's always easier, you can always make everything be happy, but it's an attitude within you that always looks for the best in other people. And I think that we'll find that Helen Keller certainly had this quality, that she would light up a room, I'm quite sure, because of her love and encouragement for other people, because of her desire to help other people. And of course, that takes great courage, because sometimes if we try to do that, people will make fun of us, or we'll wonder, will they like us? But you know what? To be courageous means it doesn't really matter what other people think. We just want to do what's right. And certainly, encouraging other people, looking for the good in situations and for the good in the lives of other people, that is a wonderful character trait. Now, let's learn more about this historic figure who showed courage in our world. Helen Keller was born on June 27, 1880 in Alabama. When Helen was a child, she caught a fever which caused her to become both blind and deaf. She was the first deaf and blind person to graduate from college. If that doesn't take courage, I don't know what does. Here this woman, through a childhood illness, became blind and could not see, and was deaf and could not hear, and yet she was the first deaf and blind person in our history. I don't know if it's in the world, but in our history as Americans in the United States, she was the first deaf and blind person to graduate from college. What a courageous act. I mean, let's be honest. How often do we not do things that are easy to do? We just aren't very courageous. We're not very hardworking. We're not very thankful, if we're honest. And yet, look at Helen Keller in history, this person who, in spite of her suffering, was able to become the first person to graduate from college who was deaf and blind. If that doesn't motivate us to want to have a better work ethic, I don't know what should motivate us. What's even more amazing is that she was the first deaf and blind person to write a book. Okay, so let's think about this. Helen Keller is the first person in history who was deaf and blind, who graduated from college. Then she goes on to become the first person who is deaf and blind to write a book. Now that takes courage. That takes faith. That takes ambition. That takes willpower. That takes something that I don't think I necessarily have much of, but I sure want more of it. So students, think about that. Not only did she go on after college to write a book, but in her career, throughout her life, she went on to write 13 more books. Yes, that's right. Wow. What courage that took Helen Keller. Being deaf and blind and being able to write 14 books throughout her life. In addition, she visited veterans during World War II who became blind. There is an absolutely profound principle that I want to convey to you. Helen Keller visited the blind, that is, the veterans who became blind from injuries and so on from fighting in the war, I'm sure, and who knows what other circumstances surrounded what led to this happening, but the fact is they became blind, and she went to visit them, to encourage them, to comfort them. Wow! Now think about it. Here she was blind and deaf, and she could have made an excuse to not go. You see, so here's the principle. Sometimes in life, the things we go through that we don't like, the adversity and the trials and the difficulties, they are actually preparing us to be able to then go and help others who are going through the same thing. So she was able to comfort them because she understood what it felt like to go through what they were going through. But you see, it took courage, because she could have made an excuse and said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm struggling with my own problems as it is, so I'm just going to worry about my own problems. No, 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 no. She had courage to say, in spite of my problems, I still choose to go out into this world and make it a better place. And that's what I'm challenging you to do, and that's what I'm challenging me to do as a human being. Because we need to do that. No matter what we're going through, we need to be willing to go out and to help others who are struggling with problems. Helen Keller also founded the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. I hope that at this point, as we come toward concluding this presentation, that you can understand my passion for sharing courage with you. That is to say, examples of courage in our world throughout history and in our world today, because they need to inspire us. These stories of courage must inspire us, because it's amazing. I mean, think about it. Helen Keller was courageous enough to, in spite of her suffering, to go out and to do various things, such as to found or to start the Commission for the Blind in Massachusetts. Wow, that is so cool. I mean, think about it. You can go out and do things in our world. I can go out and do things in our world. And through courage, we can make a difference. We can pioneer new things, pioneer new trails, new paths that we can blaze, that we can travel down, and that others can then follow and do it in an honorable way that serves the needs of others in a loving, helpful, compassionate way. Helen Keller was a person who made the world a better place by showing the courage to live for the needs of others. Now, going back to earlier in this presentation, I had presented the essential question for this lesson within the course of courage. That is to say, at michiganassemblies.com, MAC, we have various courses. Just like if somebody goes to school or to college, they sign up for a course. Okay, and it's a semester long, for example, like trigonometry or biology or sociology or social studies, history, world history, American history. They're all courses. So we have various courses here, and this course is courage, and within the course of courage are many lessons on different people and examples of what courage looks like in our real world. Okay, so I asked for this particular lesson, learning about the life of Helen Keller, I asked the essential question, and I believe it was this: why does having the courage to do good things end up helping others? I may have not quoted that quite right, but that's basically it. And I told you to think about that. And so now, as we come to the end of this presentation, I want you to do the following. Have about 1 minute in a collaborative pair situation where you are going to share information with the person next to you. You can decide it could be the person to your right or the person to your left. Take 30 seconds each to explain your answer to the essential question. So in other words, I'll put 30 seconds up and you will share what your answer was to the essential question, and then I'll put another 30 seconds up and you will listen to the person you just told your answer to, and they will tell you. So A is you tell person B next to you, they listen, and then I'll put another 30 seconds up and you listen to person B as they tell you what their answer is or was to the essential question which I gave at the beginning of this presentation. Please switch now. Thank you. Okay, this has been my honor to come to your school through this virtual assembly and to inspire you. The life of Helen Keller was truly a life of courage. Now I want to challenge you to have courage to go out and make the world a better place. What are some practical ways that you can do this? Well, you can volunteer at a nursing home, you can volunteer at a hospital, even the pediatric unit at a hospital where children are ill or recovering from an injury. You can go to a soup kitchen. You can do so many things in society. There's so many ways you can help people. People who are elderly, those who can't do chores as easily. You can go and do in the summertime, for example, do some yard work for some of the elderly people in your community. The list goes on and on and on. But the bottom line is, that is the crux of the matter, is that you can do something. And it will take courage because it's not always easy. But I do encourage you to have courage to make the good choices, to make the world a better place. And I hope that you can view some more of these assemblies on various topics in the future. So tell your family and friends about MichiganAssemblies.com, Mac, and thank you so much. And also, we can even do a virtual assembly that's live in real time, where through the internet, through multimedia, if you will, not so much multimedia, but through remote desktop technologies, web conferencing technologies, I can come and talk to you right in your classroom or in a gymnasium or in an auditorium directly, and that's a pretty neat thing. So put the good word in for me. Maybe you can get your teacher or your principal to do that. Okay, well, there's one more thing for you, so check this out. Bye-bye from Mac.